All right. Well, today we welcome Lani Dickinson to the Convert with Confidence Summit. I'm super excited to speak to Lani. Lani helps women service-based entrepreneurs launch, grow, or scale their businesses online. She's relentless in helping women build businesses that allow them to have both time and financial freedom, right? Well, what good's a business if you're not financially free? And to build generational wealth, to make a bigger impact, and so that you never miss a moment that matters along the way. And I think a lot of us can resonate with where we end up ditching friends or family because now sort of money becomes our boss. Yeah. Right. So Lani, would you mind first telling the audience, what motivated you to start your business and to do the work that you do?
Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for having me on. It's awesome to be here serving your audience. We are so in alignment with who we want to help and all of that. So it's great to be here. So thank you for that. And it's awesome that your people are signing up and investing in themselves in this way. I became motivated to become a business coach. I had kind of a long circuitous journey, but I became motivated to be a business coach in COVID. We're all sort of helping a younger version of ourselves. And I had this journey of climbing the corporate ladder, being told I was a bull in a china shop. And I grew up in a pretty rough way. My mom was a street drug dealer. So that kind of street smarts was showing up in the boardroom, doesn't necessarily work there. And I went off on this development journey and practiced and studied all things NLP. And so I came out of that wanting to share that with the world, anybody and everybody. Like I wanted everybody to have that transformation journey. And I started by teaching NLP, and then I was coaching with NLP. And then I got a lot of repeat clients. And then eventually their kids would come to me. And the whole while I was side hustling, climbing the career ladder. And I was really, my eyes were kind of opening up that many people had kind of this rough background that I had. I was kind of naive to that. My earlier days, I was so lost in my own painful experience. I wasn't all that aware that many women suffer the same thing. And I became more aware of that when I built a gym. I had a gym for several years, did weight loss boot camps, and I was using NLP for the people who had weight plateaued. That's where I realized how pervasive abuse of girls is. And COVID closed the gym down. I was still side hustling. I was working as a Fortune 175 CEO, but the moment, it was clear as a bell, where I decided I'm going to focus on women and be a business coach, because I was a Fortune 175 CEO, that's serious business experience. I had had 23 facilities prior to that. I've been side hustling as an entrepreneur for quite a while. But COVID hit and women were locked up in their houses and domestic violence went through the roof. It was horrible. And my husband, who thought his business was going to close in COVID, became busier than ever. He's an attorney. And it was family law stuff. And the moment he came and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm busier than I've ever been," I said, "Oh, that's great." He said, "No, it's all domestic violence and child abuse." And in that moment, I was like, I'm here to help women build businesses. Not just abused women, just women have got to be able to live, I like to say, #life on their terms. And it was like an instant download, and that thing you read, I want to make sure women don't have to rely on a corporation, a job, a boss, or someone else to pay their bills. I want them to have that time freedom. I built my career, 25-year career, while my son was at home. So a little bit of a regret around the time. So that's incredibly important. Time freedom, financial freedom, never missing the moment that matters, but making their impact. So it was an instant download for me the second week of March 2020, when I realized, this steady buildup of women are even strong ones are vulnerable. And I'm here to help them be independent, badass business women like me.
I love it. Wow, what an inspiring story. I'm sure some people here who are watching, hearts are melting, because I think we've all been there. I think we've all been financially dependent, whether it's been on a husband or an employer. And I remember the day I was like, wait a minute, there is no security.
Yeah.
Like financially dependent on anyone else. And that switch flipped where it became safer to rely on myself.
Yeah.
Like someone outside of me. So I think we're all there, or we've kind of flipped that switch. So, I know one thing that often is holding back this audience here watching today, because this audience, they've been in business for a while. Maybe it's been a year, maybe it's been, maybe 5 years, 6 years in my case, maybe even 10 years, and are plateaued. They're struggling to scale, and a lot of it's, of course, it's the mindset work and how we process our experiences. So if we're asking the question of where's my dream clients, if we're like, let's say we're this avatar, we're a business owner, we're exhausted, we're working 1,000,000 hours a week, we don't feel like we're being paid enough, undervaluing ourselves. Where is it that our dream clients, are they hiding? Because it can feel like that, right?
They are not hiding. They are literally everywhere. They don't have signs on them though.
Yes. Dream clients.
Yeah, they are literally everywhere. That's the truth. And we don't necessarily believe that in the beginning, when we may not believe in ourselves. We might not have done enough of our own work on our own healing journey and those kinds of things, so that our own stuff can be in the way. That's limiting beliefs. Our own limiting beliefs are the number 3 of 7 reasons women don't make it to 1 million. But once we're out there and we've taken the leap and we're trying to make this business go, we actually love our clients, but we also are frustrated with our clients because we're exhausted, not being paid enough, that whole cycle. Or we're doing short-term intervention work. So we're always on the get more client hamster wheel, right? That's a piece of it. And we keep attracting the person who wants to barter, not, pay that, all those kinds of things that go on. I would say a couple of things come up. High ticket clients, when they get urgent and they're ready to buy, they are ready to buy right now.
Yeah.
So you have to be visible. They have to know you're there. When we aren't where they are, because we haven't done our research and we don't know where they're congregated, or we're fearful of getting visible, right? I'm sure you have many clients who are afraid to get the level of visibility you need to scale, right? So if we're not visible enough, we're the best kept secret because of our own stuff we haven't updated, or we haven't done the research, so we don't know where they are, or our copy and our messaging isn't in their words and it's not what they'll pay for, or it's not tangible, especially if they're in the healer realm, right? The spiritual healer type people, they have a hard time making their outcomes tangible. So the copy and the messaging is sometimes off. So we remain the best kept secret because literally people read at the top of the sales page, what is their identity? Service-based woman entrepreneur. Is that me? Yes or no? Right? We don't have time. We scroll, we paint the picture of the pain, doesn't seem relevant, we're done. Results aren't tangible, we're done, right? High ticket buyer wants to know, am I in the right place? Can you get me the results? They want results. They actually don't really care that much about the vehicle, the container, all the stories. They want proof you can get me the results and get me the results fast, which leads me to the third reason they may seem elusive. If we're not easy to find and easy to do business with, and I'll give you some real tangible ways that people lose high ticket clients. I did an evaluation of 700 website, Facebook profile, Instagram profile. The first 700 people I let into my group, I personally reviewed all of their stuff to figure out were they a good fit for the group. And I felt compelled to create this video about don't scare your clients off before you even meet them.
Yeah.
The digital presence is messy. High ticket clients aren't going to work that hard to find you. They want the result. So when there's not a book a call, when somebody reaches out and you don't reply with a calendar link and you say, well, is next Tuesday or Wednesday better? People making money who have high ticket to spend or who need an urgent result, they're not going to go back and forth with you 4 times in email to pick the date.
It's like we block ourselves by adding.
We're blocking ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah. We send a Google Doc and it's not, it's protected, you know? And so now I got to request access. I'm done with you, right?
Yeah.
There's no easy way to pay. There's nothing worse. In my paid programs, one of the first things I have people work on is set up your payment. Because when you get somebody in front of you and they're going to say, how do I invest? How do I take the next step? And you don't have a way to collect, they're done, right? So that whole, what do you look like and how do you, not physically what do you look like, but what does your presence look like online? Do you seem to have your stuff together in a way that's going to handle the high ticket client and their problem they are urgent to solve? And they're assessing like this. We have a attention span less than goldfish, right? They're not going to work hard to work with you. They're going to look for a solution that's ready right now.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. That's as clear as day. So for those of you watching, what ways are you maybe blocking or hindering people from accessing you? And I love that, like just adding that one extra step for them to do is like, who's going to put in that kind of effort to there, nobody's going to track you down. Right. Mm-hmm. So having things ready to go. And I can think of a great example on how this shows up on sales calls is you don't have, like, you're not ready for maybe the money objections. And right, we run into these money objections and we don't have other ways of helping them. And if we're locked into, like, if we back them into this corner and it's like, oh, it's whatever, it's $19.97 a month or whatever for 6 months. And they're like, like, I don't know. It's like, we often block them because we don't have another ready to go solution.
Right. Yeah. That's a very good point.
Yeah. So, since, like you mentioned, this audience is wanting to move more into the high ticket world, at this point, we want to start scaling back the time we're putting out there and start to, as business grows, as expenses grow, obviously we need to start to charge more for our services. What exactly, I think often we ask the question of what is a high ticket program? I know when I first started seeing, become a high ticket coach, become a premium coach, what's the difference between a high ticket coach and what you see maybe most people doing who are exhausted and running around and sort of almost being a slave to their business?
Yeah. That's a great question, because that is the ticket to paradise. That's the ticket to making your impact, helping people get amazing results, and also living your life. I just made a post on Tuesday on my personal wall on Facebook about, I took from December 14th to January 10th off. And from December 14th to February 14th, I had worked 46 hours. So I delivered about 30 hours of coaching calls and had done one 9-day, I think I did an 8-day live launch. So I had 46 hours worth of work. And I collected, not revenue, collected $91,000. So how do you get there, right? So literally in 2 months, I worked 46 hours and had 91,000 collected. And I don't know what the total revenue was. I don't know that right this second, but the difference is if you're selling in the low ticket range, you're selling a very narrow focus problem, right? Maybe it's a task, it's one skill, it's one obstacle or whatever. You want to go high ticket, you got to be the solution for the whole problem. And you said the key word, program. You have to have a program. You can't be a one-off little thing. Like I have a strong bias against digital courses that sit on the dusty virtual shelf, because the research shows people just do not do them. I know tons of people love courses. I've taken courses because I personally like them. This is a key. It's not about what you like. It's about what will your avatar pay for, right? So whether it's a course, a retreat, a mastermind, a program is comprehensive. It gets you off of the get client hamster wheel, right? And because you are developing something that is inclusive of what do the people really need to get the result you promise, the promise of your offer, when you charge high ticket and people actually get the results, they're going to invest that. You now have time and money to put other resources in the program to get them the result. And then they go say, amazing testimonial, and they recruit other people. Hey, you need this, right? So program is the key word. Instead of doing this very narrow focus thing, we've got to say, what is the whole problem? So in my case, I have a copy resource, I have a Facebook ads resource, I have a branding resource, I have a sales resource, right? There's a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm able to put into the program that meets the whole need. And I give people funnels, done for you funnels, and done with you workshops all throughout the year, because I know they don't execute. Entrepreneurs don't execute. And so we do it done with you. And the stuff that they continually don't execute on, I've turned into done for you. That's the difference between a $197, $297, $1997 product and a $20,000 program. It covers everything that the person absolutely needs to get there, instead of saying, now I got to go get somebody to do this, and now I got to go get somebody to do that piece. It comes down to not charging enough service for your service and not counting in your own time in the delivery. And then we over deliver, which means keep us poor, by, if it's an hour call, we go 87 minutes. You didn't get paid extra for that time. And I don't mean to focus just on the money, but we often forget that we have to get paid too, right?
Yeah, I can think you talk about that. I remember I used to spend hours preparing for a call, and that went away quickly. And I'm sure some of the people watching, like, how are you bending over backwards for time that they haven't? Did they pay you for your Saturday night?
No. And the other thing that and I don't know if you're going to go into price objection, but the fear of price objection tricks people into saying, well, if I sell low ticket, they'll say yes easier. I don't believe that. I believe it takes effort to market and get a yes, no matter what. But with low ticket, you need extreme volume to make your mortgage, right? So you have a low ticket offer, so there's not enough money for you to add additional resource to get to the results. And you need a gazillion people to just make the mortgage, which means you're committing yourself to an ad budget, right? There's no amount of organic traffic. Organic cannot get you enough volume on a low ticket offer to live the life you say you really want and make the impact, right? So
I think I remember that realization. In fact, I love how you brought up the program and this is how we add real value, right?
Yes.
How we add real value. It's not about just jacking up your prices. Now, if you're being severely underpaid, which I'm sure some of you are already, and maybe it is just a matter of increasing your prices, but at some stage, you just can't just keep jacking up your price and expect people to be like, yeah, let's go. Especially if you're going to move from, whatever you're doing now, $500 a month to like, $8,000 program. Has to be a value added.
Yeah, for sure. I started selling my current program, which is going for $20,000 currently. I started at $6,000 for that reason. I deliver and build live. So the value was about $6,000. I needed results, test, tweak, next launch, $8,500. next launch 9,500, next launch 10,000. So because more of the program was built, it was a more complete solution. I was adding results to the or adding resources to the container. So the price investment goes up because it is literally a very complete solution at this point.
Yeah.
The value has to be there.
Yeah, I know specifically in my case, and maybe some more of the holistic. I don't know if you have a lot of like holistic practitioners.
I do.
Lani.
I'm a nurse, so I attract a lot of healers.
You'll know what I'm talking about here. When I remember I used to just do hypnosis. It was like just hypnosis. And maybe some of you other holistic practitioners are just doing psychic readings. You're just doing tarot. You're just doing energy work. And I was stuck in that group of other hypnotists. And I was being, obviously categorized as a hypnotist. So I was only selling hypnosis, and I eventually learned people were only going to spend so much on doing hypnosis. And so I was able to increase my prices to a degree, but then I was like, well, hang on a second, Joe Schmo down the street who's just trying to sleep better is not going to come to me for a $6,000 program. So like, what was the gap that I need to fill is exactly what you said. It was like the coaching aspect. Right.
You have to be selling in a high ticket category and provide that value. So a lot of business owners, if you can help people make more money, have more sex, or have better relationships with their kids, they're going to pay you a high ticket price. You may be doing that through energy work, through hypnosis, through readings. And then what do they do with that information or that result that you just shared with them? The coaching through implementation to get them the result they want is where the high ticket comes from.
Yep.
It's not just the reading or just the hypnosis. Like I am NLP, I'm an NLP lover and doer through and through. And so I business coach through the lens of NLP.
Mm-hmm. But if we're sitting here selling NLP sessions, we're not going to be a premium coach, right? Because we can go, a lot of people have a background in NLP, and they end up putting us like, let's talk about the money objection here.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of us coaches and consultants go into paralysis, right?
Yeah.
Even before the call, maybe we're already dreading it because we're like, what if they say no? What if they say, oh, that's too expensive? What is the block here, Lani? Or maybe there's a few blocks here. Is there like,
oh yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Because no is a part of sales, number one, and that has nothing to do with us. So we've got our stuff about our beliefs and our whatever and our money baggage and all that. We all do, I haven't met anybody yet who doesn't have some kind of a limiting belief around something, right?
Money especially.
Yes, exactly. It takes in a physical product retail world about 6 times before 6 interactions with the product before someone buys. Can be up to 26 depending upon the resource that you read, but between 16 and 26 online. That's just the buying process. So when we get on one phone call and the person isn't through 26 touches with us, that doesn't mean in person. It could be the email, the video to convert. Maybe they hear us on a summit. There's 26 touches. And then when they are urgent, if you're their person, they haven't punched out yet, they may be ready to buy because you've developed know, like, trust, relationship. And this happens fastest on video when you're highly visible. We're back to the first thing we talked about. The biggest mistake, especially women entrepreneurs make, is we don't get visible fast enough, right? So the objections can be coming in just because we haven't gotten through 6 to 26 touches, and we start going, oh my God, I'm not good enough. They're not going to buy all that stuff. The tapes start running when the fact is we haven't even gotten through the sales process. So that's one big thing.
Or is there a sales process? Do you have a process?
Do you have a sales process? Let's start at the beginning. What do they see? How do they interact with you before you get to the place where you say the investment is? So that's a key point. It may be a pricing issue, which we touched on. There might not be enough perceived value in the container. You got to make sure, do I decrease time, increase the certainty of the result? Do I decrease risk? And is there proof that I get those results? And is the value of the transformation? I already said, if you help people make more money, have more sex, or have a relationship with their kids, they're going to pay high ticket prices. So what is the value of the transformations? You really have to figure out that value equation and build it into your value ladder. Like you said earlier, do you have a place to go, or is it only this one thing? So it may actually be a pricing issue. And it could just be that they don't see themselves in your testimonials and in your process and in the picture you're painting for the transformation. So they're nice and they say, I don't have the money, but really they don't see the value in what you're saying. And that goes back to what we already talked about. How do you show up? Is it easy to do business? Do you seem efficient? Is there a calendar link? Is there a payment button? All that's going into their assessment of, can this chick get me results? Yes or no. It's binary, yes or no. More and more these days, I'm sure you see this in your business, and I'm sure all of the people watching today have seen this in their business or experienced it themselves. They get burned by coaches. And so we've got to have the bad coach objection that's running in the programming or in the experience. We have to be able to overcome that in our process up to the sale. We have to outwardly show results and hit the thing right on the head about the bad coach problem.
It's
right.
You mentioned that. I just had a call today, someone who's worked with a hypnotist who apparently wasn't returning half their emails or calls. They weren't showing up on time. And I was just like, I mean, it's easy for me to deal with that now, but it's like another layer that's just added to them. Doesn't mean you can't help them with that layer, but it's just interesting that you talked about that, because there's so many life coaches out there.
Yeah, you've got to show up in a way that overcomes that, oh my gosh, is this another bad coach? Yeah. Because the objections really are about, they don't trust the container or the method or the vehicle, or that you can get them there in the vehicle through the container. So those testimonials have to be there. And they're still battling inside their own head. Can I do it this time? Will I execute? Will I show up? So we have our beliefs about money, so we can't even say the price. We stutter when we say the price, or we don't follow up timely, or we don't make it easy, or we don't return the emails. But they have their beliefs that they can't do it. This is where story and testimonial save the day. When I'm in sales mode, I obviously market that was a Fortune 175 CEO. That gives me incredible street credibility. I talk about being a regional person over 23 facilities. I talk about profit. I talk about how much money I make. That gives me street credibility. But the person who's doubting themselves says, oh, well, that's possible for you because, of course, you were Fortune 175 CEO. That's why I say I dropped out of high school with a GED. My mom was a street drug dealer. All the stuff that happened to little kids who have street drug dealers for mom, it happened to me. I share my failures along the way so that people can say, well, hell, if she can go create that, it is actually possible to have a different outcome. It's not always us they don't believe. They often don't believe themselves that they'll do it. So we've got to overcome that.
Are you guys
stories and testimonials?
Such a wow. Like, go back, pause, just replay what Lani just said in your head. It's not so it's really more about, is this possible for me? One thing, right? Because like you said, for whatever reason, I mean, how many times have we personally signed up for a program and we didn't finish it because we didn't believe in it? I don't know. Yeah. How much money, tens of thousands of dollars on digital marketing programs, coaches, but it was because we didn't follow through. So of course our customers are questioning this, and it's not about us. And we tend to internalize this, right? It's like, oh, why? And we get frustrated because
our tape starts playing when it's really their tape that's playing.
Trigger.
Yeah. And then the other big thing that I think happens is we're not sitting in front of the right people. That lays on the foundation of clarity about who I want to serve and what's the problem they'll pay for. And that research, are you getting the right people in front of you? And to your point, do you have a process where they learn some of this stuff about you before you get on a call or before you pitch? And are you talking to the right people in the research? I have a client last week. I was traveling. I was in Santa Barbara, and she's like, We just literally built her container, built her funnel, built the offer. I walked her step by step to write her whole funnel copy. She was an invest in full person, so there's a lot of hand holding there to make sure that it all gets done. She's like, I have to ditch the program. I have to ditch the whole thing. This guy says I should be doing this for free.
Wow.
And it sent her in a tailspin. And I was like, who's the guy? He was a competitor. You know, we got to do the research. Yeah, we have to know what our competitors are offering, but we have to do research about what is the product that people will pay for. And we have to know what our competitors are doing, but we don't necessarily talk to our competitors and then listen to what they say about how poorly our program is going to do, right?
Yeah.
So we have to do our research and make sure that the right people are showing up in front of us. Otherwise, we're going to get no's because it's the wrong people. So in my mind, there's like 7 or 8 things we just talked about that create price objections. So it comes out as, I don't have enough money, or I have to ask my husband, who controls the money, which oftentimes is just the story, because we haven't done this stuff, these 7 or 8 things, well, everything we've talked about over the last however long we've been talking. We have to make sure our side of the street is clean before we say people aren't buying. There's a lot of work that goes into making sure that people buy. The easy, nice thing for people to say is, I don't have enough money, instead of saying, you know, you really come across like you really don't have your stuff together. You don't even have a Calendly link. So, you know, I just can't deal with you anymore. It's much easier and much more polite to say, I really don't have the money. Your stuff seems great, but I just can't do it right now. If I did this, it would mean my kids can't get braces or whatever, right? They'll even throw in a little story so that we know that it's true.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into objection that we can overcome.
Yeah. What would you say for that kind of customer? Let's say they've already signed up with you. Maybe they just even give you a credit card, and maybe there's that like buyer's remorse. Maybe it's halfway through. Maybe it's like before you even get started, there's already, you know, you've had that successful call, but then they start going into, like you said, they start, their husband or their wife is talking to them, or now they see this other coach out there and they start going into like what you said, like this tailspin. What, in that case, how might you handle someone who's maybe they want to do it, but now they're going through like, oh no, all the what ifs, right?
Yeah. So first of all, I say get a contract, right? You have to have your I's crossed, or your I's dotted and your T's crossed. So I would say, first of all, get a contract, and you can collect payment. And then when they get the contract back, you can bank the money and deliver the services. But a couple of key things. The process that you brought up, you know, your process has to give them opportunity to know, like, trust. Maybe one call, if you're getting a lot of these potential refunds, it's probably the wrong client, and the process probably isn't painting a picture, and the results and testimonials aren't supporting. So they spend the money and they're like, oh my gosh, am I really going to get results? So there's that piece. What do they see, interact with, hear, and feel long before we ever get to a sales conversation? And so that goes to your digital footprint. Do more video, get all your testimonials on video, let people talk to your clients who, you know, the clients who are raving fans, let people talk to them. Don't create barriers for that. But the minute people send you money, in their mind, they want to be working on the results. So you can't have a long time to your first kickoff call or their first milestone or something like that. Yeah. In my case, I sell a year-long incubator. People don't want results on day 364, right? So in the first 4 weeks of my program, there is a lot that happens. 2 weeks later, we build a container. 2 weeks later, we build the offer. 2 weeks later, we're writing the copy. Bam, by the end of, 10 weeks, the bulk of the work is done for those people who are going all in. Now, there are people who are side hustling and take longer, but they know, okay, work's happening, things are happening. So you've got to have that initial, we are actually moving towards your result, whether that's your kickoff call, your first session. That can't be 10 days away. That can't be 3 days away. I sell via the live launch method. And as soon as I pitch, I say, those of you who are ready to invest, you'll be on a call this weekend and getting different results by next week. So you've got to make sure that what they consume ahead of your sales transaction. So maybe when people book a call, you have a landing page with 4 videos with different people's results who started in different places so they can see themselves in the results. They know it's possible. Maybe I call them funnel snacks. Maybe the reminder emails have case studies on them. Maybe you should add reminder emails so more people show up, right? All those things. And what are the funnel snacks along the way that help them understand you are the real deal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you said something earlier, what I'm hearing is like, it sounds like they sell themselves really into your program before, like at least the successful ones, especially the clients we enjoy working with, they tend to sell themselves into the program. I can think of the programs where I bought in a snap, and these are not cheap programs. They're like $7,000, $10,000, $12,000 programs I've invested into. I was sold before I got on the phone.
Yeah.
I knew, I was like, I just need to be educated what this looks like. What's the first thing I need to do? And then just send me the link to pay. Like that was my attitude.
Exactly. And so you're a high ticket buyer.
Yeah.
The promise of the offer was compelling. It fit the thing that you needed, but more importantly wanted. And the questions were there and you said, where's the link? That's how a high ticket buyer buys. Yeah. So think about how fast you made that decision. You knew what you wanted. You knew what you needed. You know, you have your history of what has worked well and what hasn't, and you see how this package fits into the whole package, right? Fits into what you want to achieve. And you're like, hey, where's the link? You're searching for the link and you're buying now. That's how high ticket buyers buy.
Yeah, they're ready to go. They're right. They need to hear the right things. They need to feel good about it, right? And they need to not have you blocking them at the end of the day, right? So yeah. I know, Lani, you are so valuable in this space, and I definitely want to talk to you in the future. And I'm sure some of this audience also wants to know more. And I know you have a free gift for them, the high ticket client attraction workshop, which I'm sure we're all itching to hear more about. So, Lani, can you tell us about that?
So I do a 5-day, it's high ticket client attraction bootcamp. It is a workshop where we actually do work. People are always shocked because COVID was created this opportunity for all of us to take 40, 50, 60 different challenges, workshops, all those kinds of things. And the most feedback I get from this is, oh my gosh, this is like real stuff. And so that I build that with the idea that if you nail that, you are ready to make sales. So the first couple of days, there's homework where if you put that to work, you will make sales. So we dive into getting a connection to what it is we want. So when we're tired and overworked and we don't have the necessary, maybe we even have the right clients, we're just exhausted because we haven't created a program or we're still doing one-on-one. We dive into how can you do that differently? How can you be connected to that? What does that get you? What does that get them? So that we'll have the motivation to actually execute. We talk about how to define the problem you want to solve in a way that overcomes objections before they even come up and gets people moving towards their credit card the way you described, because you're talking about it in a way that they know you're the real deal and they're finally going to get this thing solved, and it goes in the right order. Because how many people are doing things that sound great, but they're too soon or too late in the journey, right? And I talk about how to use your content to convert, which starts to deal with all these problems about how do we overcome objections, how do we describe the value, how do we demonstrate the results. And all along the way, because I'm an NLP lover, there's all kinds of mindset stuff all the way through that. So I get so much feedback that this is like, wow, there's no fluff and there's actual results. And in the first few days, I offer free strategy sessions. This is something that I just started doing a few rounds ago. And so I say, ask me anything, I won't pitch you session, unless somebody says, hey, what does it take to work with you? Then I'll share what that is. But what's interesting is how many people have taken those strategy sessions and gone and done something with it. Somebody who attended my free boot camp in the last round on the strategy session, she said, I'm dying to work with you. I just can't pay. And he's like, okay, well, how can I help you? And she said, I'm doing this leadership presentation. And she talked about who might be, I think it was a virtual room. And I said, oh, okay, why don't you try and turn that into a pitch and make some money? So let's go through that. I was a decision maker. I was a corporate decision maker. This is what they're going to worry about. You know, they're going to worry about how turnover and all these things and what that's costing. You got to get some data about that. And you got to arm the people who are there to talk to the decision makers to overcome their objections. And so think about these things. Literally that week, she did this presentation and she sent me a message and said she landed Google as a client.
That's incredible.
From that free strategy session, she's like, I can't believe this. This is surreal. You gave me real information. I was like, yeah, what did you think it was going to be? And, you know, they all think it's going to be a pitch. And I'm like, no, let's map out your presentation. So I go all in during that workshop, whatever you bring, because I'm all about making sure that women entrepreneurs can be #life on their terms, making really good money to change lives, impact people's lives, because there's nobody else coming. All we got is each other, right? The government's not going to fix what's going on in the world. We have to do that, right?
That's why we're here, right?
That's why we're here. And I believe women lead differently. I don't hate men at all, but I think women lead differently. If you and I can help somebody, their whole cul-de-sac already got better, right?
Yes.
So.
Yep, this is so true. Wow. So if you're ready to attend this workshop, I'm going to look at my schedule, see if I can get on it as well. Scroll to the bottom of this page, click the link to join the workshop. Like she said, no fluff, like straight results. I was even looking at the testimonials at the bottom and everything was just like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I got everything. Like it wasn't what I expected. And isn't that such a great feeling when you get those clients and they're working with you and they're surprised because they're expecting like it to go probably like it has been in the past.
Yeah.
But then you get that customer's like, oh, this actually works. It's such a great feeling, right? So go click the link to join this workshop. When does it start, Lani? When does it start?
The next one's February 28th. I do it about every 6 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks.
Awesome. So jump in on the next one. Again, click the link below. This link will only be available for the next 48 hours. So click the link, go into the workshop, go get started. If you're ready to scale your drains, you're like, how do I start to multiply myself now, but not burn out, then go check out Lani. All of her information, website, everything's below. And Lani, thank you so much for your valuable insight here today.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you and your people. I'm honored to be part of your day, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for coming and joining us today.